no fluff, we get right to it. How I made my first $1,000. I'm smiling, man, because this really gonna take me back, and it's like a beautiful story because a lot of people contributed, and it wasn't just me. So I started dating my woman, which is an unfair advantage I have, and she's really important throughout this entire story. I met her on March 7th, 2015. And we started dating on March 24th, 2015. When I met her, when her best friend was getting married and she was in the wedding. And so we had to do all the bridesmaid, bridal party and all that shit. And the groom in the wedding I had never met before, but he was a super cool dude. His name's David Gibson, at D1 Gibson on all social media. And at the time, you know, this is 2015, because I told him I made music, I just dropped my album, now I'm trying to learn how to market. He said, you need to get on this app called Periscope. I'm like, what the hell is Periscope?
My ducks, my swans, welcome to the pond.
He said, bro, it's the next best thing. And in the middle of his rehearsal dinner, or whatever the hell it's called, I don't know what it is, I ain't married. He pulled out his phone and he went live on Periscope. And he was talking to the people on the phone. And he was saying, hey, what's up, Saul from Brazil? Like, hey, David, how you doing? And I'm like, do you know these people? He's like, nah, these people are in Brazil, watch me right now. This person's in Utah, this person's in California, this person's right here in Nap. David Gibson showed me the power of social media in that moment. And that changed my life, because now, as an artist who's trying to get his music out there, I'm going on Periscope every single day, because I felt like Twitter kind of had lost its vibe. I felt like Facebook was for families and shit. And I felt like Instagram was for niggas that was trying to stunt, or chicks that was trying to get their titties out there. Remember, this is 2015. So I looked at Periscope like, this is an open market. Like, I can come in here and I can penetrate this, pause, and I'll be able to get market share that I'm not gonna be able to get on these other platforms. So I started going live. And the first time I went live on Periscope, I was coming to them for the, you know, Coach Clark motivational, you can do this, ET preacher, you know, like motivational, because that's what everybody on Periscope was doing. You know, I was trying to adapt to the environment. But after I did my 10 minutes of live motivational speak, I mentioned that I had just dropped my album. And so I went live the next day. And when I went live the next day, some of the people that saw the terrible motivational 10 minutes the day before came back. And one person that came back, her username was Shay6363. I'll never forget this for the rest of my life. Shaylee Young. And it's the second day on Periscope, and I'm back in the motivational ET hip hop preacher trying to really get into it. And it's like 8 people inside the scope. So anybody that writes a comment, I'm gonna see it. Shay6363 writes a comment that says, Dorian, I bought your album. At that time, I had 2 album sales, me and my mama. So I know she ain't talking to me. Must be somebody else named Dorian inside this chat. I keep going ET hip hop preacher shit. And she's like, Dorian, I bought your album. My ass, I just dropped music. I asked her, I said, what album? And she said, the album that you said you dropped. I bought it. And at that moment, I was like, it is that easy to sell shit online. All this stuff I'm doing, trying to get these emails and get on the front cover of Dat Piff and Hip Hop DX and hitting on the radio station, and these DJ, these parties, all this bullshit. And all I gotta do is go on here and tell people to buy my music and they'll do it. I was addicted. So then I just started going live on Periscope every single day. And I built my audience up to about 20,000 followers. I trended on there 7 or 8 times. I was trending with Steve Harvey and some other shit. And that really showed me the power of social media, being consistent, how to build an audience. We would have contests on Periscope. We would have political debates on Periscope. We would have Jones sessions on Periscope. If you are a day one duck or a day one swan and you were there during those Periscope days, I want you to write in the comments right now. Let people know how it was, man. That was a training ground for everything I've done in social media. One day we're on Periscope and we were talking about the music business, and we were talking about Nellys Tax Situation. There was an article on Business Insider that was talking about how Nelly could not pay his taxes, and Business Insider actually did the streams of how many it would take for Nelly to be able to pay his tax bill. This is September 2016. So at this time, people really wasn't that hip to streaming and getting the money off of that. Like, we was listening to Spotify, but I don't even know if it was Apple Music then. It might have been Beats Music, but we weren't streaming. We were still CDs. We were still SoundCloud, which is streaming. We were still YouTube. We were still trying to hold on to the traditional way that we listen to music. So when I go to this article and they've done the calculation for how many streams Nelly would need to pay off his tax bill, it's real interesting to me. And inside of the article, they had embedded tweets from Nellys fans about how they wanted to help him get out of his tax situation. And at the time, I had 20,000 on Periscope. And I had my song Don't Sleep out. And I was thinking like, man, you really can make money from Spotify like that? So I told the pawn on Periscope at that time, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's have Don't Sleep. Go to bed tonight, put my song Don't Sleep on repeat, put your phone on mute, and have it play all night to see if this Spotify thing is real. And so the pawn did that. Up to that point, my music had been out for about 18 months. And on YouTube and Spotify and SoundCloud and Deezer and Tidal and whatever platforms were out at that time, I had a total of 300 streams. Within 2 days of us doing this, not letting Don't Sleep, I had 2,300 streams just on Spotify. The shit worked. Fucked me up. Because I knew how powerful streaming was. I knew that if you got a certain amount of streams, you could start making some serious money. And so this is October 2016. So I started telling my audience, hey, start streaming Don't Sleep. I became obsessed with streaming. I became obsessed with Spotify playlists. I was Googling, I was YouTubing, I was Twittering, I was stalking any information I could get on playlists or who worked at Spotify. I was trying to get, I'm listening to every interview because I know that this is a way for me to accomplish two things as an artist: get my music heard and get me paid for my music, which is all any artist ever wants to do. When I got that first royalty check in December 2016 for $23.91, I knew I had something because I did that from hunting down and getting on Spotify playlists. I didn't have to sell any music per se. So I knew I could continue to do this. And then next month in January, we made over $100 just from Spotify streams. Now I'm able to pay off little bills, cell phone bill, whatever. Now my music is a real asset. So what I did is I started hunting Spotify playlists. I started going and looking at the top Spotify playlists. I would go find the people on Facebook. I would stalk their ass and I would, negotiate with them, offer them shout outs on my Periscope because I had 20,000 followers. Shout outs in my email to try to get more followers on their playlist, trying to work out deals to get my songs placed. And I got songs that I got placed on playlists back in 2017 that I'm still at the top of to this day. That's 5 years I've been getting residual income every single month just because I shopped my song to Spotify playlists 5 years ago. I planted those seeds. Because I was shopping to so many playlists, I developed my own Spotify playlist network of 300 plus playlists. So I didn't just feed them my song Don't Sleep. I fed them Sunshine, I fed them Rotate, I fed them Even Love Me, Michael Porter, all my songs I would put inside this distribution network. And next thing you know, I had 1 million streams on my song Don't Sleep and about 3 million combined. And I was able to get this plaque. If you were somebody who was really serious about trying to get 1 million streams on Spotify, trying to get your songs out there, how to get on these Spotify playlists, I'll walk you through how to do all of this in my music marketing course. Game 6, I dedicate specifically just to the Spotify game because there's a lot of nuances that's involved in shopping your songs to Spotify playlists and identifying good Spotify playlists that most people don't know because nobody was teaching this. I'm telling you, I had to learn all this on my own. I had to see what was a good playlist versus a bad one, which one had bots, which ones had real listeners, which one was gonna give me a lot of streams, which one was gonna get me nothing. I had to be able to identify it. I had to be able to eyeball it. And I teach you all that inside the course. Click the links below. Buy that if you're serious about the Spotify game. You can't get this information anywhere else because ain't nobody else did it. So now I got this distribution network. My music's making me money every single month. And as you can see, these are our royalties from CD Baby. You can see how much exactly we were making each month, and all that ended up totaling over $1,000 from just the music alone. Now, this money was cool, man, but I knew this wasn't scalable. I'm not about to be sitting around shopping my music to Spotify playlists all day. To get 1 million streams on Spotify, that's $4,000. My job at that time was paying me $5,000 a month. So I knew I couldn't leave my job to do this. And the playlist game can be kind of tricky. People can take your song off whenever they want to. Playlists can get shut down. Playlists can get botted up. They cannot start popping up in the algorithm on Spotify, all types of things outside of your control. So that's not good for a rapper in their music career. So I knew I had to find a way to be able to leave my job, but I wasn't gonna leave my job unless I could get to 10K a month. If you wanna know how we got to 10K a month, hit like right now. If you wanna know how we're gonna get to $1 million, watch the entire video.
Group82university.com.